I'm just pulling up my PowerPoint because there's some pictures of I'm going to share as we're going through my talk. I can't believe I have to do this in 20 minutes. I feel like I could talk about this topic, my story, for hours and hours. So forgive me if it's a little bit jumbled. I tried really hard to, simmer it all down into the big highlights of what I wanted to share today. So I'm really honored to be here. I love Circle of Miracles. I come here, I play sound bowls here. I also was joining Michelle Bunting's sound baths for a long time here. And this place is just very, it feels so at home when I'm here. It feels so comfortable. There's beautiful energy here. And I know it comes from all the people that are always here. So thank you so much for having me and allowing me to share a little bit of my story today. So before I dive into my story, I would like to ask you some questions. And I invite you to silently reflect on yes or no, or you could even just raise your hand, yes or no, if you feel called to. So have you ever been told before that you're too sensitive? I see some nods and I see some hands. Do you ever feel overwhelmed in loud or crowded places? Yeah. Do you need more rest or alone time than others seem to need? Have you ever just known something without knowing how you know it? Do you ever feel really connected to nature, music, or animals, like they speak to you? Yeah. So if you said yes to those, you're probably a lot like me. And I used to think I'm 49 now, and I was growing up and I had these very intense connections with other people, with nature, with animals. I felt very different. I didn't have a lot of people around me that talked about their connections with nature and animals and other people's emotions. I felt very different as a child growing up. I had a beautiful family, a very loving, wonderful family. I was so blessed to grow up with the most amazing parents and sister. My mom was quietly spiritual, I would say. We were Jewish, a Jewish family. My stepdad was Protestant, and my biological father was an atheist. So I had a very interesting experience as a kid because I was sort of culturally Jewish more than religiously Jewish. Didn't go to synagogue, didn't know the first thing about prayer. It just wasn't something that we did. And so growing up, I felt like I wanted to connect. I wanted to belong to something bigger, but I didn't quite know what that would be. I didn't quite have that growing up. I was a precocious kid. I saw more than other people did. I think I felt a lot more intensely than other people did. And I took in the world in a very intense way. Everything was intense for me. All my experiences were very intense. And that's just how I was, right? That's just how I was growing up. I was really good at chameleoning and pretzeling myself to fit in with all the groups and all the kids at school. I was friends with all the different cliques in the high school. I was really good at becoming who I needed to be, no matter what crowd I was in. I could fit in really well. All of these things are traits of the highly sensitive person, something I had no idea about when I was growing up. I had no idea what that was. I didn't know that was a thing that existed. I'm going to share, this is my mom and my dad who have transitioned, and this is my beautiful sister. This was a long time ago. But I wanted to share one of the most incredible blessings of discovering that I was a highly sensitive person. When I connected with what that means, when I discovered I was also an empath, someone with really porous boundaries, where I could feel other people's emotions and energies from everywhere and everything, it opened up a new awakening for me, where then spirit was really loud. Spirit became very loud for me. I started to see signs I started to see symbols. I started to notice angel numbers. It was this really exciting time in my life where synchronicities in the beginning were like, oh my God, that's so cool. I was just talking about this and now I'm seeing it right here. It was such an amazing, magical little discovery for me that ended up becoming the norm over many years. It just became the expectation that every day I would find synchronicity, I would find symbols, I would find those signs, I would hear divine coming through. And this all happened for me on the path of healing after my mom passed away. So I'm jumping around a little bit, but so let me go to that picture. So here's my mom, my beautiful mom. And there was a time after she passed that I was invited to be a part of a book of women's stories, a collection of stories. And I really wanted to share my story about my mom's passing, my mom's illness, what it was like. It was a really difficult journey. And I wanted to write that story. And I felt very torn about, do I write that story in this book? Because it was very personal, it was very private, and it was soon after my mom passed away. My heart and my soul really wanted to share what it was like, because my mother was a huge part of my life. And I decided to write the story, but not to share her story, not to share the story of her passing. And I was sitting with a deck of oracle cards one day, feeling really torn about, do I write the story? Do I not? How can I maybe infuse bits of my mom's, my connection with my mom in the story? So I pulled a card from a deck of like 52 cards. Not one of them had, not only one of the cards, excuse me, had a butterfly on it. And when I pulled from the deck, that's the card that came. And my mom was always the symbol of the butterfly. My mother loved butterflies. So I knew that when I pulled that card, it was like my mother speaking to me and giving me her blessing to share the story. This is just one of so many examples of times where over the last really 7 to 8 years since she's passed away, I feel this amazing belonging now with spirit, with the universe, with goddess, with God. And I have a language for it now. And I have a community now of people who understand what it's like to be so sensitive and to be able to see so much, feel so much, hear so much from the divine. So it was sort of like a full circle coming home of feeling like I didn't belong, and then having this profound sort of awakening after my mom's passing. And a lot of us can have these awakenings after grief, after loss. I can't say I understand why that happens, but I know that's a very common experience for a lot of people. I want to show you this picture because one of my favorite phrases, and pardon me for cursing, I'm from New Jersey originally, but you can't make this shit up, is what I say sometimes. My father, my stepdad, passed away last year in January, unexpectedly during heart surgery. And on the way home from the hospital that day, I was stopped at a red light and I was getting ready to turn into my development to tell my children what had happened that morning, and feeling so lost. And how do I find the right words? His granddad was just supposed to have an operation, not to transition. And when I was at that red light, feeling really lost, I looked up, and the car in front of me, the truck in front of me, this was the license plate. And I had to take a picture because I said, no one will ever believe me. So it says ZSA, which is not very significant, but then it says 8461. 8461 is the number of my dad's birth month, my mom's birth month, my sister's birth month, and my birth month. 8461 was the passcode to the garage growing up. 8461 was the code for everything in my family growing up. So much so I loved 8461 that I had it engraved on a necklace. And it's part of my phone code today. It's 8461 and then my birthday. So how do you explain something like this? That the same day my father passed, I saw this in my moment of feeling complete loss. These are the kinds of amazing, miraculous experiences that I believe are available to everyone. But I think as highly sensitives, because we sense so much more and we have such deep listening and intuitive abilities, we're more apt for these experiences. One of the things that I do in my business is I help my clients heal their pain body, the mental pain, the heart pain, and then the physical suffering through the things that I offer. And I find that the more I heal and clear and clean out my physical, mental, and emotional and energetic bodies, the more miracles are there for me to experience. So that's sort of my goal, is to continue to help others to heal the places, the limiting beliefs, the indoctrination, the enculturation that keeps them from seeing what's really here, the pain that they hold from the past that's unresolved, the unmetabolized emotions that are still in the heart, the old grief that they haven't experienced yet or felt, the righteous rage that they haven't experienced yet. And when we clear through those bodies and we open, more can come in. Sound healing is one of the beautiful whispers that I got from the divine. A couple of years ago, I had a whisper, and basically my whole life, I followed whispers. I've always followed the whisper. I don't know how I have the courage to follow the whispers, but I've always been someone who can follow those whispers. I've always had a deep faith. I think it probably comes from a lot of past lifetimes of being here and being a faithful person. But I'm not afraid to follow those whispers. This was a whisper: buy sound bowls for yourself, buy some crystal bowls. Okay, let me think about that for a little bit. And then, as we know, the whispers become more like a tap. And then the tap, if you don't listen, becomes like a bang on the head, like a hammer, like, hello, I'm telling you, you need to get these bowls. So I got the bowls and I just had them in my house for a while, and I looked at them for quite a few weeks. And then I had the courage to like mess around with them. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I had the courage to ask Michelle Bunting, can I come to one of your sound baths and just watch you? I just want to see what you do. I might have a calling to play the sound bowls. I don't really know. I'm trying to follow it. Can I just come and sit and watch you? And she was so gracious. She's like, of course you can watch. She said, but guess what? She said, I literally yesterday was talking to a friend, and I was telling my friend how I want to manifest someone to train for how to play the sound bowls.
Wow.
And I said, oh, okay, I guess I heard the call. So Michelle trained me how to play, and then now I play here. I play how Michelle was. It was divinely intuited to Michelle the way that she played the bowls, and now I learned how to play them her way as well. And it's, for me, a way to really relax my nervous system that can be highly overstimulated as an HSP in the world. So sound healing is one of the beautiful ways that I try and keep my channel clear. There have been so many magical moments over the course of my journey. My sister invited me to go into New York City, one of my mom's favorite places to be. And my aunt came as well. And I asked my mom before we started our day together, Mom, please come to me as a lion. I really want to see you today. I really want to see you in your favorite place in the city. It's all day. It's like, where's the lion? Is there going to be a lion? Where's the lion going to be? No lion. We had lunch. We walked around, went to the park. We explored the whole city. No lion. I was looking so hard. I was looking at those t-shirts, looking for a sign, looking for a symbol, and there was nothing. And I was really sad. And then we were about to head back to Penn Station. And I was sort of just, my daughter was with me, and my sister and my niece. And I looked up, and there it was. huge. This picture was taken after the bus started to move, but if you can see in the picture, I was face to face with the back of the bus. The lion was the entire back of the bus. And I just broke into giggles and joy and chills. I was jumping up and down. Like, oh, gosh, look, she's right here. She's been with us all day. And it was such a beautiful, joyful moment. It was so incredible. Again, these moments, I believe, if we're open to looking for them, we find them. If we're open to seeing them, they're always there. Sometimes it takes being in community with other highly sensitives for me to tap back in when I feel like I've lost, the channel's closed or the channel's not there anymore. So it's why I'm so big on community and gathering in circle and gathering together, because I think we are all connected, all of us. We're all part of one bigger web, and we all are here for a reason, and we are all connected with one another. How am I doing on time? Do I have a little bit more time? Okay. So one of the most important things that I do in my business, which is called Lucky Girl Health and Wellness, because my mom used to always say she was the luckiest girl in the world. So I named my little business after my mom, and I became very interested in health and wellness. I used to be an English teacher in my former life. And when my mom passed away, I knew it was time for me to do something new in my life. And so I studied everything I could about health and wellness. My mom died of cancer and both her parents died of cancer. And so I said, oh my God, what do I do here? Like, I have two small children. I don't want them to go through what I had to go through, my sister losing my mom. So I took all of that pain and I channeled it into purpose. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I started as a nutrition coach. Then I kind of went down a rabbit hole of emotional wellness, understanding that's a whole other ballgame than physical health. I started to see how everything is connected, how we are holistic beings. After learning all about emotional wellness, I studied trauma. How does trauma affect us? I became a certified holographic memory resolution practitioner, which is something I found out in Arizona when I actually won an all expenses paid trip to a place called Miraval, which is a wellness resort that costs like $2,000 for the weekend. I won a trip there not too long after my mom died. So I was sent there to find Brent Baum, who taught me about HMR, which is what I practice now to help people. So the trauma, right, that we carry in the fascia of the body, all those old emotions. I then learned about nervous system regulation and how important that is as a highly sensitive person, right? All of these different things were opened up to me over the course of 7 years of learning and studying, and then sharing everything I could with everyone that I knew, sharing everything. I felt so privileged to get the education, to get all this information, to be able to understand it. And as an ex-teacher, to be able to teach to other people, to share what I knew, to help other people. My biggest passion is helping to educate about what it means to be a highly sensitive person. So highly sensitive people, it's a thing. It's called sensory processing sensitivity. It's not the same as being really overly sensitive. It's a thing. Your nervous system's actually wired differently than most of the people that you know. HSPs are only 20 to 25% of people in the world. So we live in a world that was made by and made for what we call 80%ers. It can be very overwhelming to live in this world. It moves fast and it's really loud, right? Especially if you don't know that you're an HSP and you're not intentionally creating a lifestyle that supports your sensitivity. It can be really hard going through each day, being overwhelmed, burning out, pushing really, 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 really hard for a long time and then crashing, only to find the strength to recover, and then pushing, only to burn out again. We have a lot of shadow tendencies, perfectionism, pushing, hiding. Sometimes we have to hide because it doesn't feel safe. So many things that I didn't know until I knew. Imposter syndrome is one of those things. Porous boundaries, nervous system dysregulation, These are things that a lot of us can experience if we're untrained, highly sensitives living in the world. So it's really my most passionate thing. I think my mom was a very sensitive person, but we didn't have language for that back then. And had I known now, then what I know now, I might have been able to share with my mom a few things, right, to help her navigate through every day. So that's my mission, is really to help highly sensitives to thrive. I feel like I'm thriving as a highly sensitive person. Not every day is easy, and I still sometimes butt up against those old patterns, but I'm much better these days at interrupting the patterns, recognizing when I'm pushing too hard, recognizing when I'm not, honoring my physical body, my emotional body, and then taking steps and using tools to unburden myself so that I can feel at peace every day, so I can feel well. I have a whole bunch of books in this bag that I wanted to pull out and allow you to look at when you have a moment if you want to. These are some really important books that have helped me along my path. The Empath Survival Guide, The Highly Sensitive Person, The Highly Sensitive Child, because I have a child who's highly sensitive, and a lot of other books. I'm going to share those with you as well, and I'll just put them up on the table if you want to take a look at them. Oh, this was a fun one. So after my dog was put down, I put my dog down a long time ago. Her name was Amber. She was a great dog. I was shopping not too long after when Pier 1 Imports was a place you could shop at. And I found this painting and I fell in love with it because it reminded me of Amber. I sort of saw her up in heaven. And lo and behold, what I didn't know was that about 6 months later, a rescue dog would come into my life named Daisy. And if you look at this picture of Daisy, this painting was the blending of Amber and Daisy. So it was sort of like a foretelling of what was coming, and I had no idea. So I thought that was pretty fun. So yeah, just I have so many stories about magic and resonance. I'm sure you do too. I'd love to hear your stories. I'm sure you have all the same kinds of stories of synchronicities. But one of my most favorite things these days is the cards. So oracle cards are my favorite way to commune with the divine. I've been developing my psychic abilities over the last couple of years, and I know that I have a very deep connection with, I don't know, my guides and other people's guides, so I can pull cards now for other people. And more often than not, people are in tears and breakthroughs happen in these really quick little card readings. I never knew this would be something that I'd be invited to do, but it's another way that I try to serve, is to offer people peace and confirmation and validation through card pull. So I'm going to also lay the cards out so you can all pull a card if you'd like to. So I'm going to move over to the sound.
Do you want to do a question?